Texting, texting, texting. So many of you guys make a good first impression when you meet a woman in person or you get a match on a dating app, and then you completely fall apart over texting. And after coaching hundreds, if not thousands of guys on how to text in the most efficient and ruthlessly effective and, to be quite frank, lazy, systematic way possible, I've compiled a list for you guys today of the most common mistakes that you must avoid. And I guarantee you, even if you think you got some smooth, witty texting, you're making at least a few of these. And I have saved the very, very most important one to the very end. Actually, none of what I'm saying is even relevant or matters unless you know this very special one, but I'm gatekeeping it to the very end to increase watch time on the video. Same reason why I'm showing all these beautiful women is just to keep you entertained and, quite frankly, increase the watch time of my video. And I guess it gives some authority to this random person who's claiming he's got all these great texting methods if it's your first time here. But without any further ado, the first mistake that a lot of you people are making is not qualifying the girl. So let's define, what is qualification? How do you qualify the girl? Well, when you qualify the girl, you are giving her logical, not even just per se emotional, but logical reasons why you like her, why the two of you are a good fit, why you guys have a good connection or chemistry that have zero to do with her looks. Okay, so qualification is not a compliment on your boobs look really big and firm, and if I was to squeeze your boobs, then I would feel really good pleasure, and you are so hot. No, that is not qualification. Qualification is complimenting her on the fact that, damn, not only are you very beautiful, but I see you're in orthodontic school, and that's so refreshing. I really like beautiful women, so great. I finally found a girl in Miami who's supporting herself without selling feet pictures on OnlyFans, right? Or it could be something about maybe she made kind of a dark joke, and you're like, oh my God, finally a girl with a dark sense of humor. Let's get a drink together and make fun of wokies together. Something about her accomplishments, the connection you have, could even be the fact that you share a taste in music, okay? But look at these beautiful women that I've been putting the B-roll on the screen on. Why would they go out with me if I was just another thirsty guy that just wanted to get in their pants, right? They see me as like this romantic guy that we have a great connection, and this qualification stuff will reduce flaking by a lot, by 936%, according to the latest peer-reviewed studies, is 936% reduction in flaking, aka you're talking to the girl and she disappears and randomly ghosts you, because if you make her feel special, if you can create this vibe and this special connection that you like her for many more reasons other than just her looks, you will reduce flaking massively for obvious reasons. Like I just said, she won't see you as another thirsty guy, but she will see this as something special, long-term connection. She'll feel more butterflies, etc. Just don't go overboard. Do it a few times here and there. Sprinkle, like if you were seasoning a steak, right? Sprinkle some qualification in there, but don't go overboard, because you want to keep at least a little bit of tension throughout the conversation, which is a perfect segue to the next mistake I see, which is guys do not create any form of tension in their texting endeavors with the hot babe. So tension comes in two forms. The first form of tension is creating, I want to say, ever so slightly negative emotions, but not even necessarily negative, just creating tension, like I said. So for example, a girl responds to you, but she responds very late, like a whole day later. You can say, hey, it's great to hear from you again, but did you get lost in the woods? Something like that, right? Or another example, I'll say, it's like I was texting this Brazilian girl. I mean, I live in Brazil, so I guess every girl I was texting is in Brazil lately, but she said when we matched or on the app and later on Instagram when we were chatting that, she's wary of Americans because she thinks we just come here for sex. And she uses this app called Tandem, which is kind of like a language exchange app. But whenever she chats with a guy in Tandem, they always start asking for photos, sometimes, nude photos. So for both of these, I created a little bit of tension. So for her, her comment about American, she's like, oh, I'm wary of Americans. You gringos, you just come here for sex and I'm not easy. And rather than me saying, no, I'm not one of those guys. And I swear I want a girlfriend and I'm a very good guy. And no, I would never disrespect you like that. No. Rather than jumping through her hoop. So, she says, oh, Americans, you guys just want sex. I said this as a voice message, basically in this tone, although I said it in Portuguese, not English. But I said, oh, great. Here we go again. Don't you just love it when somebody lumps you into the exact same category as other people just simply based on where you're from? Isn't that great? And I said it very sarcastically and upbeat, but I am being, I guess you could call it negative, right? I'm giving a negative answer. How many of you guys are answering women in a very slightly negative way, right? Very few of you, right? But this creates tension. This makes you seem as a high-value guy. Later, we're going to talk about what I call the high-value man frame. And, it wasn't insulting. I wasn't rude. I was like, how dare you insult my honor and lump me in? I was just like, oh, great. Here we go again. Don't you just love it when people group you in with a whole other category of people simply based on where you come from, right? Just like that. And how's she going to respond negatively to that, right? So, but it does create a little bit of tension. And for her whole thing about like the photo part, I kind of ignored it for a bit. And then later on I said, she's like, at some point in the conversation, I think it was like even a day later, she's like, what are you doing? I said, oh, nothing much. I'm just at the gym so I can say looking sexy for you, which is, again, we'll talk about that line. I repeat that line a lot. That's coming up in the future. But I said, I'm at the gym so I can say looking sexy for you. And she goes, oh, let me see a picture. And I go, aha, look who's requesting pictures now. Now it's the Brasilera who's, requesting pictures from the American, not the other way around. Interesting, right? We've come full circle. And she laughed. I kind of called her out. Again, I'm not insulting her. I'm not being mean, but I am creating tension. Now, even though I'm giving these examples on tension being where you kind of almost like call her out or make it a little bit, negative. Again, it's not being negative. I'm just using that for lack of a better word, but creating tension. 80% of the time, what I'm actually referring to is the high value man frame, which it means a lot, but I'll just summarize it. What I call the high value man frame is the vibe you give off is the following. When you're talking to the girl, the vibe is, I'm intrigued by you, girl. I like you so far. However, I'm just not 100% convinced yet. I'm still evaluating you. So again, I like you, but I'm just not 100% sold just yet, although it's going well. So I'll give some examples in a second of this, but to just go over, more of this, high value man stuff. The reason why he's still evaluating and he has his frame is because he's not super impressed with physical beauty. This is common for the high value guy. He's more impressed by personality traits, by chemistry, by connection. He's very positive, optimistic, and playful, but he's not afraid to call the girl out when need be, but not being an asshole. He's not afraid to express how he actually feels about things and give his opinion, even if it may be a bit polarizing, something like that. And now let's get into a few of these example lines. So, for example, a lot of girls say to me, hey, you speak English, you're a gringo. Can you teach me English? I say, yeah, absolutely. No problem. I can teach you English as long as you cook something for me that's, pretty delicious. Can you cook? Do you know how to cook? Or I could say, yeah, sure, I'll teach you English as long as you teach me samba. I've seen this samba thing and pagode. It's like another Brazilian dance. Yes, if you teach me samba, those are dances, by the way. Yeah, if you teach me to dance samba, I got you. English, we can trade, do we have a deal? Right? So again, it's just a funny, playful thing. They're not going to say like, no, you must provide the English first. Like they're going to go, deal, I would love to teach you samba. And it's just that little, like, rather than saying like, yes, sure, I'll teach you English. By the way, that's not a horrible thing. The girl says, will you teach me English? Yeah, sure, no problem. I'll teach you. That's not like a bad text, but it's just a little bit better if you have this high value man frame where it's like, oh, sure, I'll do, quid pro quo. I'll teach you English. You teach me samba. Or again, going back that like you're still evaluating frame, you could say, hey, yeah, this is going really well. I'm really enjoying talking to you, but I just hope that you're equally charming in person. Again, you're not a dick. You're not an asshole. You didn't call her a fatty fat or something like that. You just said, yeah, I hope you're equally as charming in person. Or another one, one of my mentors in game, Todd V Dating, great channel, Todd V Dating, a YouTuber. His line was, yeah, this is going great so far. I just hope you don't turn out to be crazy. You got to be careful with that one. In certain dating markets, they don't understand sarcasm and they'll take that as to like you actually think they're crazy. It would work on American girls because in America, we actually understand sarcasm. One more quick one. You could say, hey, the drinks are on me, but just show up looking really cute and provide me with stimulating conversation throughout the night. Okay, so these are examples of like not being won over too easy and, keeping a little bit of tension, giving that evaluating frame, something like that. Now, the last little bit on tension, we're going to wrap it up, is you just must make it sexual. There must be sexual tension. So at some point, you must call her sexy, right? Don't go overboard, sprinkle in there, but maybe she sends a voice message and she has a really cute, adorable voice. I'll be like, damn, I wasn't expecting that. You have the cutest, most sexy, feminine girl voice. I could listen to that voice all day, right? It's so sexy the way you talk. That's it. Then you don't have to like keep going on that, but you must keep some sexual tension. So almost like negative, calling her out is a way to make tension. The high value man you're not fully won over yet as a way to make tension, and making it sexual, 3 forms of tension. You must include at least some form, ideally, if you can, all forms of these tension. Okay, let's move on, ladies and gentlemen. Actually, just gentlemen, no ladies watch this channel. The next one is not making conversation based on her content. When a lot of guys draw a blank, this is something that I hear all the time when texting or when coaching students on texting, is that I don't know what to say. I get stuck on what to say. You get, what's it called? Ideas and inspiration for what to say for what to make the conversation about based on her content. So does she travel a lot? Does she own a business? Does she work out a lot? Let's say she owns a business, right? It's always like something with like makeup or hair or cosmetics. So especially me being an entrepreneur, I'll relate to her on that. I'll say, oh, cool. I see you have this nail salon. Is that true? I saw you linked to this. Like, you're really the owner of that? She'll, yeah, I'm the owner of that. Oh, great. I'm an entrepreneur too. That's fine. We can, or that's fun. We can build an empire together like Beyonce and Jay-Z, entrepreneurs taking over the world together, baby. And then she's going to want to talk about that. Yeah. What made you start that? And, oh, that's so cool. And, I really like ambitious girls. Now we're throwing in the qualification, right? And also she's just going to want to talk about that. She's going to want to open it up, and she's going to think like, oh, this guy, like, he's really making like an effort to own me, to know me. Yeah, I mean, maybe in the bedroom you're making an effort to own her and dominate her in the bedroom, but to know her is what I meant to say. And like, travel, she's going on to talk about travel, if she speaks a foreign language, if she does a certain type of dance. And sometimes girls are boring. They just post a lot of selfies. So you can even say like, oh, I see you don't post a lot. You only have 3 photos and they're all selfies. Finally, a girl who isn't obsessed with, social media, taking photos, stuff like that. Maybe on our date, you would actually be the first girl I dated in Miami who's not, on her phone the whole night, something like that. But anyway, that's how you make conversation. And she's going to like that because, like I said, she's going to think in her head, oh, this guy's like really making an effort to get to know me. It's almost like a qualification in and of itself. The fact that you're being like thoughtful and noticing things. Girls love when guys notice things, when we remember things, and then, making conversation based on her content. She's going to think like, damn, this guy's really making effort to know me. And like I said, the conversation will just flow. She likes to talk about her accomplishments and her achievements. All right, let's move on. I think I've handled that one enough. The next big mistake is not sending voice notes. Now, this isn't necessary. I do a lot of voice notes. Sometimes when I'm like doing conversations for you guys to break down, I do more texting because voice notes is kind of harder to screenshot a voice note. But voice notes allow you to use your personality and your inflections. Even the text that I said earlier, which is something like, oh man, here we go. Don't you just love being, lumped into a category of other people and being judged, based on where you come from? Isn't that just wonderful? And then you kind of laugh. You go, haha, and you laugh. If I was just say that over text, that could come off as too rude and like overreactive and like I actually got offended or something like that. And your voice, when used properly, you see, like when I'm talking to the camera, when I say this, but like if I give an example of how I talk to the girl, I modulate my voice a bit. Like I don't talk this way. If I was to send a voice note to her, I would say, that third picture down where you're wearing the tight black dress, make sure that it's nice and clean. Take it to the dry cleaners, whatever you got to do, because I'm picking you up on Saturday night and you're going to wear that dress for me. Do you see how I talk differently when I talk to a girl than when I talk to the camera? How you modulate your voice. You kind of imagine how Barry White, if you ever listen to his music, would talk to a girl. And as I'm talking to you like this, maybe I keep my eye contact right here. I don't blink or do anything. You can kind of feel the gayness. Got a little uncomfortable, didn't it? Right? So that's how you use your voice for voice notes. You can just show up more personality, more humor, kind of like I did. Sorry for making it weird and gay. The next biggest mistake is you don't make things interesting enough. I have an exercise I used to do with my students called the 10% more interesting exercise. And the outcome, what we do here is what I just said. You don't try to throw a Hail Mary touchdown pass on every single text that you're doing, but rather you just make it more interesting by making it just 10% more interesting. So she says, what do you do for a living? The boring answer is, I'm an accountant. Asked and answered. What do you do for a living? I'm an accountant. Or you could say, the slightly 10% more interesting answer. She goes, what do you do for a living? You go, oh, I'm an accountant. So yeah, basically the IRS freaking hates me because I save my clients thousands on their taxes every year. So yeah, screw you, Uncle Sam. That's it. I'll say it again. Yeah, I'm an accountant. So basically the IRS, hates me because I save people thousands on their taxes. And if she's an entrepreneur, you could say, I'll save you money on your taxes. Screw the government, down with the government, whatever. Another example, she says, how old are you, by the way? Boring answer. I'm 42. By the way, I'm not 42. I'm 36. But she goes, yeah, how old are you? I'm 42. Boring. Or you could say, yeah, I have 42 years of experience on this planet, and I'd be happy to share my wisdom with you, right? Another example, tacos. She goes, what's your favorite food? Tacos. Boring answer. Interesting answer. Yeah, I really love tacos. And actually, I don't know if you noticed the food pictures on my Instagram. I'm quite the chef. So if the first date goes well, maybe I'll cook you some homemade tacos sometime. Boom. And again, I'm not delivering like paragraph. Like these are like 3 sentences. Again, they can be delivered as voice notes, etc. And just try to be like, use those examples. Just give a little bit more information. Give a bit more information on your answer. Insert an opinion, especially a polarizing opinion. Make it a bit flirtatious. Make it a bit of a tease. Do something in your answers where in some way you're not just like answering the question or answering her questions. Sorry, what am I trying to say here? Either way, I got lost. But either way, whether you're answering a question or asking a question, make it 10% more interesting. Okay, the next mistake is trying to be overly witty and unique for every girl you're texting. Now, you might say, Casey, doesn't this fly in the face of what you just said? You're saying, use things in her profile to make conversation on and give these 10% more interesting answers. Wouldn't those be customized? Yes, they would be customized, but you're going to kind of come to like a system where you're using a lot of the same responses or conversational topics over and over again. And the more women you're texting, the more matches you're getting. Then as you do this, it becomes kind of a muscle. But I'm going to give you some quickies here that like if you guys ever get stuck and like you're like, fuck, there's not really a good enough profile here. There's not enough like information, her prompts or her photos for you to make this kind of unique conversation or for whatever reason you just get stuck. Some of my go-tos are, what type of guys do you like? Right? That always creates a conversation that I can answer and talk about what type of women I like. Being in, a foreigner in Brazil, I'm an American living in Brazil. I always talk about, the classic, like, the women back home are very masculine and I hope you're very feminine. I'm getting a good feminine vibe and I like that so far. And she's going to complain about Brazilian guys and say that, they're all dogs, they all cheat on women and, hopefully gringos are more romantic. And I'll be like, absolutely, baby. Like, I'm already writing a poem about you, right? Sometimes what I do for girls as a side tangent, there's like, I forget his name, but I Google like the most famous Brazilian poet and I'll say like, write a poem about a Brazilian girl from Bahia with brown skin who fell in love with a gringo from Los Angeles in the style of XYZ poet. And I'll send that to them. They're like, what the fuck is this? Did you just write that? I'm like, yeah, girl, like I'm so creative. But then I just say, no, it's from ChatGPT. And they're like, oh, well, I still liked it. Anyway, it's kind of funny. But anyway, back to the conversation starter. So what type of guys do you like? I'll say, hey, what did you think of my profile when you first saw it? That could also give you feedback on how you can make your profile, your photos, your content better. And then what are your biggest red and green flags in men? Have a list of what some of your big red flags and green flags are. Try to say things that, wouldn't, disqualify you from the girl. Or maybe it's better if you list a red flag like, yeah, I hate girls, who do drugs. And she's like, I do Molly every weekend. Okay, next, especially if you're looking for something, serious. But those are my go-tos. And then again, when you're doing this thing about making conversation based on her profile, you'll realize what you like to talk about and what you relate to and what you have witty things or interesting things or comments or perspectives on. So for me, anytime I see something entrepreneurial, I'm an entrepreneur, I can talk about that. Anytime I see something about travel, I can talk to the girl about travel, all the different countries, how, Asia is, freaking nuts and crazy and all these different, interesting places I've been to. What are some other ones? I like if she's into learning languages and English. I speak 3 languages. If she's into, I think I already mentioned, working out. Yeah, if she's into working out. So like of any girl that I match with, there's likely going to be, one of those, 4 or 5 things. And there's more things that I can't think of now off the top of my head, but there's going to be something about travel. There's going to be something about fitness. There's going to be something about entrepreneurship. There's going to be something about yoga, meditation. Maybe she makes content, as well. She makes TikTok dancing videos. I make content. Clearly, I'm making content right now. There's probably going to be one of these 9 things, and you can just kind of use these things. Maybe for you, it's music or it's dancing, but try to have a list of these common things that you like to talk about, that you relate to, that you can talk with her. So maybe there's a list of 7 or 8 or 9 things that you have a lot to say about, you have good, strong opinions about, they lead to interesting conversations. And most girls will have one of the 7 or one of the 8 or one of the 9, right? Now, moving forward, we're almost to the last one, the most important. Remember, none of what I am saying right now is relevant until you know this last one, which I'm going to get to in just a second. But one I'm going to slip in just before that is you got to move it forward. At a certain point, you need to, what I like to do is schedule a video call. I, under zero circumstances, will go on a first date with a girl anymore unless I do a video call. The video call is the first date. You can see what she looks like without all the filters. Actually, they can put filters on for video calls, but I think there's a way, I think it's just more obvious. You can tell when they're doing a call, like a video call with a filter, or you can ask her, say, hey, don't turn on filters. A lot of times girls don't even know that, they won't do it. So number one, you can see what they actually look like. You can experience their personality and make sure she doesn't have some characteristics you don't like. Perhaps maybe you don't want to go on a date with a hardcore feminist or a hardcore wokey or something like that. Maybe she's just very boring, but for whatever reason, you're kind of screening out, and finding girls that you like, and you don't waste money and time going on dates that wouldn't be good. And you just pretty much reduce flaking by, 70, 80, 936%, whatever it is. You reduce flaking by a lot, because if you have a fun, interesting, charming video call with the girl, then the odds that she would flake are slim to nil, right? And yeah, that's my favorite thing, is to do video calls. But another thing about these video calls is I like to end the video call at a high note, okay? So I like to end them when I'm 15 to 30 minutes in. That's kind of my sweet spot, 15 to 30 minutes in, depending on how much I'm liking the girl, depending on, how much I have to do that day, what time of day it is. But right when she's at the high note, say I'm doing like a funny impression of somebody, and she's like, no, stop. Oh my God, I'm dying. It hurts. Oh, that's so funny, so funny. Right after that, hey girl, gotta go. No, I'm laughing. Wait, what? Yeah, it's 4 p.m. The gym that I use, they close early. They close at 5 p.m. I only got an hour. I got to get over there, get a quick workout in. I got to stay looking sexy for you. And that's it, so I got to go. And she goes, no, wait, but da-da-da. Leave him on a high note. And actually, I just remembered one thing in here. That line that I used, going back to what I was saying earlier, you want to rinse and repeat a lot of those same lines, the same conversational topics that I said earlier, things that's a big, I think I kind of emphasized that earlier, but that's a big one, is almost being like a chat bot and talking about the same things, using the same lines. Like any girl that says, what are you up to? As long as it's the daytime. I don't say this at nighttime, but the daytime, I'm like, oh yeah, at the gym so I can say looking sexy for you. If it's nighttime, I say, oh yeah, just writing some scripts and editing some videos. Then she's going to ask me, oh, you make content or something? And I have Brazilian, Portuguese, funny, charming videos that I get, oh yeah, I made these videos. Now that's an excuse to show her the video. So I have these common answers. Okay, anyway, without any further ado, the last and most important, I hope you guys made it here to the end, because this is the most important one, which is screening. Okay, so what I see a lot of you guys doing is you'll use the techniques in the video or just make conversation. You'll do the qualification. You'll do some light teases. You'll, whatever, all the things we talked about, just, rapport building, talking to girls on girls that you should have no business talking to in the first place. So number one is you should really look in their photos, make sure they're not using AI or filters or whatever. You can see full body shots. If it's 6 grainy selfies and they have filters on, those girls aren't hot. They're going to show up and you're going to be disappointed. And the other thing about screening is you guys are wasting time giving long, detailed responses or trying to get to know women that are showing red flags on the following 3, which are they have a bad response time. They respond to your messages very, very, far between. They don't give you quick responses. Number 2, when they do finally respond, they give you one-word answers. Basically, they put absolutely zero thought into their responses. And number 3, they don't ask you any questions at all. So again, the red flags are a long time in between responses, zero effort or thought when they do finally respond, and they are not asking you any questions. So the green flags, the girls that aren't going to flake on you, that won't be a waste of your time, they'll actually, show up and just aren't using you for free validation, is the opposite of that. They respond quickly, they put a lot of thought into their responses, and they ask you a lot of questions. And actually asking you questions, that's the biggest one. If like she kind of responds late and her answer's a little bit boring, even one-word answers, but she's asking a lot of follow-up questions, that's the main one. That means she's interested in getting to know you. She could be a bad texter and just be actually interesting in real life, but screening. Like if I give a girl like some really, really like, I made some, super clever observation based on her content. Like I'll say like, hey, we have 3 things in common. We speak English, Spanish, and Portuguese. And so I sent that as a voice message where I'm speaking a little bit of all 3. And she goes, haha, that's cool. I won't even respond. I'll just leave her on red. She's, because again, oh, that's so cool. How did you learn it? Oh, we can talk all 3 languages. We can talk in front of people. They'll never know. I learned my Spanish in Spain. Where did you learn yours? And oh, that's so cute. How do you learn language? You're so like, there should be a lot for her to say on that, right? So if I don't get, a good response, an interesting, quick, thoughtful, and asking a follow-up question, then I don't even bother. So that was that. If you guys want to get a free strategy call with me where we can discuss this even further, I know a lot of guys really fall apart on text game. Even this video can help you out. I know a lot of you guys get stuck. Talk about getting matches, dating 9s and 10s is actually the number one thing people want to talk about with me on my free strategy calls. Is like, bro, I can get the 6s and 7s, but I just can't get the 9s and 10s. So I think I've proven that I get some pretty beautiful women. Some guys go, those girls aren't 10s, they're 8.5s. And it's like, okay, bro, I date 8.5s. Sorry for saying I date 9s and 10s. Corrected. They're 8s and 8.5s. But hopefully, if this is your first time here, I built some authority. You've seen me with some beautiful girls. Go to my Instagram, RedbeardRants1, and message me the word strategy. Again, so if you want to do these free strategy calls, 30 minutes of just, pure value of me helping you out, go to my Instagram, RedbeardRants1, and message me the word strategy. But please only do it if you don't have I hate when guys say, great strategy call, but I'm in monk mode right now, or I don't have the money for dating. Look, if you don't got any free time for dating and you don't even have the money to take a girl on a date, or you're in monk mode, and why would you get on a free strategy call if you can't implement any of the stuff that I'm going to teach you? So anyway, subscribe, like the video. That's all for now, guys. Peace out.